in shortly. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, I didn't have my sound on. Testing 1, 2, 3. I started this live a little early so that people could get in time. So when I put this up on YouTube, after it goes up on YouTube, I can go back in and I will cut this beginning, what is it, about 10, 12 minutes off, so you don't have to fast forward through. Good morning if you're just joining in. I came on live a little early so people could get in time. Good morning, Denise. See, it's a Nice sunny day here in New Hampshire, but it looks like the wind is a bit brisk. Good morning, Lynn. Good morning, Christine. Are the comments showing for everybody? Because I've got a new little button up that. Denise, I'm doing pretty good, all things considered. I went into the program I use to live stream with, and something wasn't working right. So I had a moment of panic. But I'm okay now. Thank you, Lynn, for letting me know. And excuse me. And thanks for liking the mud rug. Christine, if you don't have sound, I think that's on your end. If everybody would just double check, I had it on my phone, all right. Of course, if there's not any sound if I'm not saying anything. That doesn't help you check your sound, does it? Okay, I just double checked my sound. I'm okay. Did everybody enjoy making their, I'm going to call them their bowl mitts? I saw some pictures up there. They were really cool. Thank you, Denise, for letting me know about the sound. We got a few more minutes. If anybody has any question on the supplies, it's just a bunch of, really, it's just a bunch of scraps. Um, I'm gonna, let me see. I don't know if Christine got her sound yet or not. Oh, now I just closed my YouTube on my phone by mistake. Oh well. Does anybody have any suggestions of future classes they might want to see? Just let me know. So Denise, you've been using your bowl mitt for your oatmeal. Doesn't that make it more enjoyable? So, and when you have a pretty wrap around it. I have what, 3 of them from when I did the class, and I have them sitting one on top of the other on top of my food unit. When I'm in the kitchen, it just looks so pretty. Is anybody stitching along today? Good morning, Gloria. Good morning, Deb. Uh-oh, I think I've lost some pins already. I think that one of the next things I'm going to do is some kind of a small pin cushion. Maybe I'll do my little chicken one. We'll see. Christine, you're typing hello, hello. I texted, I guess if she can't hear. Okay, I think we got just a minute or 2 more. Good morning, Sandy. I'm going to reach in front here for a minute because I'm getting a lot of glare. There we go. Okay, I'm just waiting to see if Christine can say that she has sound now. I texted her a couple times, and if I don't get any answer, I'll wait 1 minute. Oh, Lynn, you like a pin cushion? Yeah, I was thinking of doing a small pin cushion because a lot of times I just need like 10 or 12 pins. But maybe on one side of it, I can make it so for us embroiderers, machine embroiderers, to, we switch back and forth from sewing to embroidery, and maybe we can have embroidery, a little thing that says embroidery on one side and sewing on the other. Do a double duty. Good morning, Rhonda. Okay, Christine is saying testing 1, 2, 3, but that I don't know if that means she can hear or not. Denise, would you mind texting her and ask her if she can actually hear? Because testing 1, 2, 3 isn't helping me. I'm not sure if that means she can hear or not hear. Thank you. And as soon as I can get I can hear from Christine, we can get started. I'm trying not to leave her out. Did I see anybody saying, if you're sewing along, can you just type in sewing and we'll know if you're sewing along? I know sometimes you do. No pressure, you don't have to. But I know sometimes you do. I didn't cut out my square for the middle so I could show you how I how I come by that. Hopefully I get all my tools right here. Let's see if I got an answer. Okay, all right. So, good morning, everyone. This morning we're going to do this little mug rug as quilt as you go, so that as you're sewing the strips together on the back, you're getting your quilting done at the same time. So when you're done stitching the strips on, you'll just have to square it up and bind it. I used, for some people are going to be getting the new Timberbell, I want to say it's at the spring 2020 box. And if you did, you're getting some designs ahead of time. And this is the latest one. I did this one on a little piece of flannel. And so I made sure that I put topping on it. I used the heat away topping so that the stitches don't sink down into the flannel at all. Okay, so I'm going to set this right here for now. And the first thing I want to do, I'm going to set my fabrics aside, is I want to get my square for this part right here from this. And if you noticed, and pardon me if you hear like a truck go by because I'm close to the road, I used, when I embroidered, I fused on the shape flex, and then this one I did tearaway. This one I did the no-show mesh, just to try out different ones to see if there's any that, give me a hard time. So this, if you can see, nice and flat, no wrinkles. I'm not going to worry about the tearaway until I get my mug rug made, or the top of it made. So I'm using a 4.5-inch square because I have a 4.5-inch ruler, 4.5-inch square ruler, and I know that some of you people that are in my classes, a lot of you have that ruler. So I thought, well, what the heck? But you could really use any size on here, and any size within reason. A 3 might be a little small, so 4, 4.5, 5, anywhere in there. And I'm going to be using this line that's down the center to come through the center of my design. And I want to make sure, let's see if I can come in a little closer without. I want to make sure that I have the same distance on this side as on this side. And I'm going to use this C because it's the furthest, no, I'm going to use the flower because it's the furthest out. And then I'm going to use the sun because it's the furthest out this way. And the same with the top and bottom. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I don't have to be perfect. So I've got about, if you're using this design, I have about a 1/2 inch. Let me go back again. Whoops, sorry. There we go. I have about a 1/2 inch on each side, a little less than 1/2 inch. And top and bottom, I have about inch and a quarter top and bottom. And I'm just going to cut around. And I'm going to cut out past because I want to get rid of all that extra. I don't have my other mat where I can twirl it around, so I'll twirl my mat around. And see, I've already gone off kilter here. And hopefully by going out past, I can, as long as I've got my pressing mat underneath this, so I'm a little squishy. But I'm not picking my ruler up until I know everything is cut okay. There we go. So here's my little piece. Now the next thing, I'm going to set that right here for now. The next thing is I want to have my backing fabric and my batting a little bigger than what I need. So 1/2 inch on each side bigger. The bigger you make something, the more extra you need to have around. So I'd say 1/2 inch or so. So you can make this any size that you want. I'm going to work from over on this edge. Move up here. Over on this edge. And I could put this right at the end, right here at the end, but I don't really want to because it would be in my binding at least. But you see on this one, I just have one of the strips going out this way. So I'm going to just kind of eyeball it because remember I can trim afterwards. So I want to probably an equal distance here and here. The reason I like to have it to the left or the right, depending on how you want to have it. But if I set my teacup or my coffee cup down, I can still see my design. So that's why I make my mats a little bigger. And I want to have this over left of center. But again, you can do whatever you like. So I got to move this one. Okay, so I'm going to start from here, and I'm going to get my strips out. So let me see. I'll set my strips right here so you can see them. Before I started, in thinking about my back fabric, I picked this because I decided I'm going to do this color as my binding. So I just wanted it to match. It doesn't have to match, it just was easier. The other thing you have to remember is because you're quilting as you're going along, that your bobbin thread is going to show on this side. I didn't have a blue offhand, so I used a kind of a blue-gray. And I wanted it to show a little bit for you. So, and again, how much it shows is entirely up to you. What you don't want to do is have a big contrast of color. You don't want black on the back and white on the front because you'll get those little dots. Of course, if you like the little dots, that's okay too. So I'm going to start over on this side. And I think I'll start with this piece. And I'm not going to trim this until after I sew. But I am going to line this up. Let me see if I can show you. So see how I'm a little past the edge? Because I find sometimes if you go close to the edge, when you start to sew, you end up pushing it down a little and you don't get good coverage. So I'm a little past this edge. Oh, wait a minute, I got to sew this way. So I'm going to turn this strip around. I was showing you right side up and I need to be upside down. So again, I'm going to put my right side down, right side to right side, and I'm up past the edge of my block. I mean my square in the center. I'm going to, I want about a 1/4 inch seam. So if you have a machine, Baby Lock or Brother, where you have stitches that have a P next to them for piecing, there's one that goes a little bit to the left of center. So I can use my regular J foot, which is your foot that comes on your machine to begin with. The J foot has a little black knob on one side. Instead of using my stitch in the ditch foot, because sometimes with the stitch in the ditch foot, because we're stitching the ditch, I'm sorry, not stitching the ditch, the 1/4 inch foot with the guide will get caught along this batting and want to kind of drag along. So somebody asked what size the strips were. The strips are 1.5 inches. Again, you can make them any size that you want. You can make them all different sizes. But for this first one, we're just staying with 1.5. How long they are, just scraps of fabric that you might have. That's why I'm trying to, with a lot of these projects we do, start using up some of our little scrappy stuff. And again, this will make a great Christmas gift or birthday gift or, I miss you gift, because you can put anything you want for this center. So if you can put something Christmassy, you can put something Halloween, you can put Easter, you can put, have a nice day, whatever you want to put. So I'm going to pick this whole thing up and bring it over. And because I have that stitch where my needle's a little to the right, using the J foot, as I was saying, gives you that 1/4 inch, seam. And the 1/4 inch seam isn't detriment, because whatever you seam around, whatever your seam is, it isn't going to make any difference. There's nothing that you have to match. So if your 1/4 inch isn't perfectly a 1/4 inch, move this a little this way. It's okay. It's okay, but it's a good place to practice having a 1/4 inch seam. So let me see if I can do this without getting my arm in the way. So normally I would have, let's see, my hands would be like this. Here, let me do this. Oh, I can sit down and do it, because I'm a little low. But so I want to keep my hands here, and I'm making sure this strip stays flat and that it's even with this edge. I can't see down there. And I'm going to come to the edge, and I can go a stitch or two off. It's okay, and I don't need to lock. Oh, I was trying to press my pedal to cut. That wasn't working. Oh. Okay, so I've done that. Now what I'm going to do is, before I flip it over, I'm going to trim this side. And it doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be right to the edge. So I just did a little clip. Say it's not perfect, it's okay. Now I'm going to flip this forward, and I'm going to use my roller, because I don't need to be going to the iron every 2 seconds. Okay? And so I have my first part done. So I'm going to go around in the circle, and you see, I got this, so this guy goes right to the edge. And if you didn't, you're over further, you're going to just put another one on. You're just going to cover it until it's done. So I don't have to worry about this part being up higher than this part. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to go with my green stripe. And again, I'm going to lay it down so that it's a little past. See? And I'm even with this edge. Right sides down. And I'm lining up with the edge of my center square. See how this is over? It's okay, because I've got this nice and straight along here, okay? So that'll just be in the seam, it'll be fine. And let's see if I can, once I get lined up, I can hopefully get out of your way. Here we go. My sewing needle is a Microtech 80 or Top Stitch 80, either one will work. So again, I've got this extra before I flip it, because I can see when I trim it, I can see that where the edge of this piece is, and I'm just going to trim it out just a little past that. Because what happens a lot of times is when you're cutting along to trim, you'll start to go in, and then when you flip it, this part will be short. Oops, sorry. This part will be shorter than this part. So leave a little, I don't know, what is it, about 1/8 of an inch? And again, I'm going to flip it down. Okay, I don't care about this hanging out here because we're going to square this up when it's done. And you see how that had that over, but now it's nice and even because it's right there, hidden away. Nobody will see. So now I'm going around, so my next part is right here because I'm going clockwise. So when I use a color, I move it up out of the way. So I think I'm going to use this blue, and it was only coincidental, really, that it was the same color blue. So I have a little salvage there. I'm just going to cut it off with my scissors. Doesn't have to be perfect because I don't want to sew that in by mistake. And again, I'm going to lay it down, right side down. I want to make sure that this green fabric, I'm pushing it up, okay? Because I don't want to get a crease. I'm going, again, I'm up past that green, or the last one I did. I don't need to lock my stitches at the beginning and the end because number one, it'll show on the back. And number two, I'm going to be coming by them with more stitching anyway. Stitch or two past, that's okay. So this is just kind of a repeat. So see, I have that out, that extra out there. It's okay. I'm going to trim this one again so that it's just a little longer than the middle. So see, just a little longer. See, that was just a little longer. But when I put my strip down, I'm going to use this edge. I'm going to flip this down. And you notice when I iron one, I kind of go back and iron another. If you're concerned with anything flipping up, you can stick a pin there. Just remember that you have it there. So again, see, I'm a little over. It's okay. I'm a little over there, but see how nice everything is working out. Now I'm on the bottom side. And I think that I was going to use a green, but I really don't. I don't want green opposite the green. I could, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to use this brighter orange. And we're repeating just like before. So this is a little past. I don't care about this. I'm lining up with this straight edge here. And see, that one's a little past from when we started. That's okay. I'm lining up my strip with this. Okay, and I can start stitching. The nice thing with having this little bit that's over, like this over here, is I can get my fabric under my needle really nicely without coming up onto the fabric. Oh, my shoulder's in your way, sorry. That one might not be the straightest, but it's okay. It's not my prom dress. So again, I'm going to trim this before I flip it back. I really did a hacky job on that one because I could see. Can you see? Oh, there we go. See how I was starting to come in because I wasn't looking what I was doing. And bring that down. Okay. If you want to make sure you're square at this point, you can. I'm probably going to be a little crooked because I'm sewing from an angle. So I've been all the way around. I don't need any more over here, so I'm just going to go right up to here. And see, now I really messed it up because I can't put that green up here, can I? So I'll pick this one again. And I'm lining up with that strip. I'm going to have some hanging off, and I can especially have it hanging off here because I know for sure that's going to be trimmed. And so I'm over that, but I'm lining up with my full strip. I almost picked this whole thing up to sew. That wouldn't have been good. Okay, let me just get lined up and get my shoulder out of your way. Okay. So repeat, trim, leave a little hanging off. Okay. Don't worry about if you're squared up to all the edges. What you want to worry about is how it looks to this, because we have extra batting and fabric. And personally, I wasn't real careful when I cut it. I think it was a piece of batting I had left. So see here, I'm going to have plenty there extra. So this guy will get trimmed off a little bit. So when you're done, your strips might not all be the same size. If you want them all to be the same size, then you're going to have to make your back and your batting to accommodate these will be 1 inch when they're done. So now I'm coming over to this side. Now I can use my other green. Oh, isn't a very big piece I got there, is it? Same thing again. Little hanging off the edge. And this is actually hanging right off of the back. That's okay. I'm not going to sew on it. And if I did, it would be okay. I'm lining up with the strip, this blue strip underneath. Get out of your way again. Oh. And I'm going to trim this little piece off. And again, I'm trimming off so that I have some hanging over. Now I'm going to flip it. I'm going to give this guy a little push down. If you want to take it to the iron, you can. Just you don't want to iron this part a lot. So now I'm going down the bottom. And let's see, I probably could have used another color. That's what I probably could have done. Let's see what I'll put there, because I'm can't put orange. I can put the blue, but I really didn't want to have the blue next to the binding. So see, these are the things you run into. So normally, if I was stitching by myself, I would probably just go get another color. But I think I will put the stripe down the bottom, because I want to have a stripes this way, and then when I get over here, the stripes will be going in the other direction. Hopefully I got maybe not. We'll see. I don't know if I have enough of this one or not. And these are the kinds of things that'll happen to you when you're going along with, especially when you're using scraps. So yeah, I'm gonna save this one for here, and I'm gonna use my blue one. So see the things that you can do when you're by yourself. Like I said, if I was by myself and not holding up the class, I would have probably had another color. So when you're working with scraps and stuff, just have some extra ones. And if you use them, you use them. If you don't, you don't. They just go back in the scraps again. So again, I'm over that edge. I'm lining up with the strip from before. Oh, get my hands out, shoulders out of your way again. Okay. I'm going to trim this before I flip it. Trim so there's a little extra. And I can flip it down. And I'm kind of pushing it out. So what I don't want is to have a big fold where the seam is. Okay, so now we have 3 sides that are all done. We just have to go out this way. So I'm going to take orange. And generally, let me hold this up, see if you can see. You'll know you're straight because look, if you look here, if it's this, if this was like this, then and something got sewed wrong, you're just going to fix it when you put this one on, so it makes it back to right again. And if you want to pin, you can. Oh, let me get my arm. It's getting longer, so my arm's getting in the way even more. Okay, before I flip, I'm trimming this off, and it's going to be hanging past that edge. See, so it's hanging past the rest of it. I might not even have enough fabric to get done. I'm running low. You can, at any point, even when you started, you could lay all your fabrics down to see what order you wanted to put it in. I was just kind of going willy-nilly so that if I ran into issues like what I was going to put down here and so forth, you're going to run into that same kind of problem. I'm sure. So I'm going to get this guy on, because this is the one I wanted to have here. And again, I'm hanging over that edge. I'm lining up along here. Let me just check to make sure there's no questions. Okay. Oh, I am out of your way there a little bit. Let's see if I can. Okay. I'm going to trim off this side before I flip it. So see how I've got this hanging out here? It doesn't matter because we're going to trim all the way around. And let's see if I've got one more piece. Ooh, just makes it. One more piece. That was the last piece I had too. So all the rest of them a little. I made that because I'm just going to go one more out. I want to make sure because I have this salvage. I'm going to leave it on just in case I need that little bit to be the part that's hanging over. I've got. I don't need to get skimpy on it. As long as that salvage is out past this batting, I'm good. And again, if you want to pin, you can pin. Yeah, let me keep my hands out of your way. So I'm hanging on to the whole project here, the whole mug rug. And I stitched out to that hanging off part. That's okay. And I really don't have much to trim off, so I'm not going to bother trimming it. Okay, so move this. Normally, before I trim, let me move all this stuff out of the way now. So see, that's all I had left of my little strip. And these strips came from the length of the fat quarter. Just one strip. That's how little fabric you use. Let me just move that for a second. I'll make sure we're in the picture there. Okay, so normally I would give this a good press, but I forgot to turn my iron on. I'm just getting my ruler. Hold on one second. It was gripping to the mat so well that couldn't pick it up. So I'm going to look at my mat, my mug rug, and I'm going to go, okay, so let me, if I look at the back, so if I had made my back exactly the size I wanted, which you got to be careful because it's going to pull in a little bit, but I would at least have to get rid of that. But I'm going to take a little bit of everything off. So the first thing I'm going to do is even up this side, and I know I want to go to this edge. And when I put my ruler on, I want to make sure, whoops, sorry, that I'm lining up along here. Let me see if I can get that light out of your way. Hold on, let me see if I can, yeah, here we go. Oh, yeah, can you see that? Okay, that's good. So I want to have a straight line here, Try to have a straight line here and a straight line here. I need something to go by to make sure this is straight. I don't care about the outside edge and how it is. I want to know how it looks to this center. So if I'm looking at my center, I can see that I'm running straight along here, straight along there. If and it doesn't, again, it might not be perfect, but you just try to average it out as best you can. And I'm staying with the edge of this strip. Oh, almost don't have enough mat for that. Okay, so now I have this edge is straight. Now I'm going to come around to this side, and I'm just going to straighten this side without cutting any off, just to see what size I'm getting. So when I lay my ruler on, I'm trying to follow this line here, but also if I've got any place that I can follow the lines this way and follow along here, I want to try to do that as well. And again, it might not be perfect, but you kind of average it out over the whole piece. So now I have my two sides are straight. So now I have something to go by. So I'm going to trim this in so that I'm following this edge and I'm following this edge of this piece just to see what size I get. So I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm lining the ruler up with the edge of the fabric, but I'm looking to make sure that, now you can see on mine, can you see it's a little short? Oh, no, it really made it bad. It was a little shorter. Hold on. So if I line this line up straight, this one's way off. So I kind of have to look and see, okay, well, what's going to show the most? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in a little ways to help this line, but not too much off for this top strip. So let's see if you can see. So can you see how I came in a little bit? So now this line is not too bad, and this line is not too bad. Can you see them? They look pretty good. And again, it's not your prom dress, and you're not going to sew perfect all the time. And it's a mug rug. So now I have three sides straight. See, it's how, as you trim it, it gets kind of prettier and prettier. So now we just have this one, and I'm going to go with this edge of this strip, but then I'm going to show you what the problem's going to be. So I'm going to the edge of the strip this way. I'm lining up. I'm looking at this line, and I also want to look here. Okay? Okay. So see how nice it looks, but watch what happens when I turn it over. You see that? So I have more fabric than I do batting. So I need to bring that in. Also, what I did, and I didn't realize it, is I cut into, can you see that? I cut into my strip that I was trying to keep the whole strip. So these things can happen. So I'm gonna trim that and take care of that issue. So you can see right here. You see how I nicked it. So there goes my little strip over there. Oh, lost my ruler. And you know, these are things that happen in real life. So I'm going to line up as close to this edge as I can. Again, I got to make sure everybody's staying nice and straight. I don't need to make it unstraight at this point. Okay, so now my boo-boo over there is gone. Now I'm going to look at this where I don't have batting all the way to the end. Now, if it was a little less, it would be okay because it would hide in my binding. But I'm missing like the whole 1/4 inch there. So I know I need to bring this edge in a 1/4 inch, roughly. So I'm going to line up with my seam with this, because this is 1 inch. And if you remember, we cut these, I cut it 1 1/2. We already used 1/4 inch of the seam allowance. So now I have 1 1/4. So I know that I need that. I know I don't have 1/4 inch of batting back there, so I can line it up right with that edge. And I also want to make sure that I'm lined up as best I can on both of these sides going this way. And I'm also looking at this edge and this edge. So it's the same as when you square up a quilt. You just gotta average, if there's anything off, you just kind of average it between all the places that might be a little off. So instead of one place being a lot off, they're all just a little and nobody knows. And this time I'll keep my hand down until I move that away. So now on the back, everything is equal. So see if I'm off that, see how I'm off that little bit? That's fine. I'm okay with that. Okay, so there we are. And now you just have to bind it. And we did binding in, I think when we did I think, was it the Disappearing 9 patch? No, it was before the Disappearing 9 patch class on Facebook, and I think it's on YouTube. I'll put it over. There's, I showed how I did the binding. So does anybody, isn't that cute? So now see, 2 totally same design, 2 total different looks. Oh, there we go. So I'm going to just check to see if anybody has, and actually this one's bigger. Because you see how I just have a little strip of fabric here and a little strip of fabric here. So if I want it to be a certain size, I'm just going to trim in. This one, I don't mind having a bigger, so now I can put my cup over here and I can really see what's going on there. So if you want to trim it down more, go just get it all straight first and then decide if you want it smaller. Because then you can go around and pay more attention to the size and your sides all work. So now your ruler your ruler now lines up with all the sides because they're straight. So when you want to trim it in and make it shorter or skinnier, shorter this way or skinnier this way, all your sides are good, nice and straight to use as a reference point. So does anybody have any questions? And I think a few people were stitching along. So you can do like we did last time with the bowl. There's a post for the for this before the reminder I did this morning, there's a post to talk about it that I did yesterday, I think it was. So you can post your pictures right there if you'd like, so everyone can see all the pretty different choices that we make and the different designs. You can take a design right out of your machine. You can put a name. You know, there's lots of options. So here's another project in your getting ready for Christmas stuff, or birthdays or whatever that you can put into your pile, or do a few of them. And if you go to someone's house someday, you go to someone's house, you can bring them a couple little gifts. So that this is made so you can have your tea and a snack too. So we'll call this a snack mat. So this is snack mat size. So let me just double check, see if anybody has any questions. Oh, Gloria was asking about the binding. Thanks, Gloria, for asking about that. So when I did the binding on this, so this is my rule, and it's just my rules, nobody else's, not the law. It's just my rule. So when I'm working on something that is quick and easy to do, or I want to make it quick and easy, I prefer binding over turning. I just like it better. I just think it gives you a more finished look. And if I'm working on a project like this, or placemats, or something that's not a quilt, because I don't do it on a quilt, I used on this one, let me see if I can put something behind that so you can see it better. Oh, all right. I'm getting shadow there. I used 2¼ inch strips on this project. Instead, I normally on a quilt use 2½, but I find in this case I'm going to put it on the back and bring it over to the front because I'm going to machine stitch it. Okay, so if I'm going to go from back to front, I'm going to go 2¼ instead of 2½. On my quilts, it's always 2½. See if I can get up closer there. Yeah. So I stitched it as I normally would all the way around on the back, and the fold flips over to the front. And I used, see if you can see it. Let me see. I used an applique stitch. Can you see it? So it looks like there's stitching up here, but it isn't. It's just, I'm trying to find a place where it shows. It shows good. I can't tell if you can. So I used an applique stitch. Now, on an applique stitch or a blanket stitch, normally we're doing applique. So say this is my applique piece. I'm stitching along here and the bite is coming into my applique fabric. In this case, I'm coming along here, but I'm biting in the other direction. So I had to mirror image my my stitch. And a lot of machines have mirror image. You see that? Oh, yeah, that's pretty good up close. And so on the back, I haven't looked on the back. I used a lighter thread so you could see it, because see, this is how it's going to look when it's done. So on the back, let me find a spot where I can show it good. There we go. On the back, you see here? Okay, because it's the same stitch front and back. Now over here, because I wasn't so perfect, can you see? I'm off my binding, but I'm okay because that binding is sewn down. It has a finished edge, and now it just looks like I went along it from the back. It looks like I went along and followed the quilting. Can you see that? There we go. Can you see how I'm off the binding there? But it's okay because I already have a finished edge. Okay. Oh, look at that nice mitered corner. That looks pretty good. And when I stitch along, I don't miter until I get to about right here. And then I do my miter and hold it and stitch and then come around. But you can use a decorative stitch. I just suggest don't use a straight stitch, because a straight stitch, you have to be perfect. And we're not perfect. Let's face it, we're not perfect. I mean, if you want to be perfect, you can. It's okay. My saying is do you want it to be perfect, or do you want it to be done? Because to me, there's only two choices there. So see? And you know that someone you give this to has no clue how anything is supposed to be. Okay? Any other questions? Thanks, Rhonda. I'll try to get this binding done maybe this afternoon, and I'll throw it up on Facebook with yours, with everybody else's, because I'm going to do the blue. I say I'm going to do the blue until I try it, and if I don't like it, guess what? I can change it to something else, but I think I'm going to like the blue. I just decided it needed some blue. So see, here's the design done with green words, and here's the design done with blue. I think I used the same, I think it's the same color for the sun. It is a different color flowers. I was just trying to show you the differences, so in case you try it. In this little part, I did brown. I didn't want as much, well, I did it brown here because I didn't want as much green. And then when I started this, I was doing the same thing, and then I got to this and I said, oh, let's do a different color. So this stem in mine is brown, which would mean I guess it was dying. Okay, so there we go. Let me just double check and see if there's any questions. Lynn was just saying that it's a great Christmas gift for her teacher friends. Lynn was a school teacher, and she has a group of friends that they exchange with, and it's a perfect gift for sewing friends. Put a little sewing, design there. Or if you don't want to do embroidery, if you don't have embroidery, you can fussy cut. And I'm hesitating because I'm looking around to see if I have anything. So if you had a fabric that had, say, sewing notions on it, cut around, put your ruler down on your fabric and place how you want that pattern to be, and cut around that. It doesn't have to be embroidery. It can be whatever you want it to be. Okay, so any other questions? Okay, so I think we're all set. I'll hold it up one more time. That's with the blue letters. That's with the green letters. Orange. This one is more, I guess, more color to it. This is more. I was using my leftover bee fabric. I can't remember the AGD honeycomb quilt. I was using what I had left over from that. So okay, so next week I think we'll try. I'm thinking about a pin cushion. If I come up with another Christmas gift idea, since you all have time now to, well, I don't know. I don't know if I have any more time than I did before, but if you have the time, wouldn't it be nice to get ahead of something? So I'll either do a pin cushion, which a pin cushion can be a gift, even for someone that doesn't have a sewing machine. You could put a little sewing kit, a mending kit on their pin cushion. So I'll give it some thought, and we'll meet again next week. So that's Saturday. Is that the 9th, I believe it is, if I have my days right? The 9th at 11 o'clock. And thank you for all joining in and sewing along with me. And have a great weekend. Thank you.